All right, guys, Jeff here. I'm going to be doing this on this Firman, so I'm going to actually be converting this dual fuel. So as you can see, this is that dual fuel Firman. It's a 7552. It'll do really at over 9,000 watts if you're running off gasoline, and 7,500 watts if you're running on propane. And you can see that's an easy selection. Well, for emergency purposes, I thought that it would be just as important to be able to run off of natural gas. If your house is set up with natural gas, you might as well be able to do that. So tonight, this is step number 3 in me turning this generator into a whole home emergency backup. And if you've seen part 1 and 2, you know I've gone ahead and added a T with an inlet for where I'm going to supply this. And I've got this regulator I'm going to be installing on this tonight. But you've also seen how I've prepped our electrical panel to have a 50 amp breaker backfed into the panel. And this guy will produce that 50 amp right there. It's going to do the 50 amp 240 volt electricity for us. And that's going to be the emergency backup for the power for the house. And I just wanted to get it done on the natural gas. So that's going to start here on the back. I've got some work back there. So you're going to follow along as I go ahead and convert this from just propane and gasoline to propane, natural gas, and gasoline. So follow along. Okay, so first thing you got to do, we're going to end up having to take this carburetor off because we're going to add a little spacer there that's going to allow us to hook our natural gas right to that line. So in order to do that, we really got to get this air cleaner off. So I'm going to be pulling these things. So this is your gas inlet valve, air valve, and then there's your air one. So those two will be out of the way. And then there's a vibration dampener screw down here. There's a screw down here that you got to get out. And so I'll go ahead and pull that. Let's see, and I've got my 10 inch bolt on there, and try not to lose any screws before I have to, or nuts, bolts, and that one is down there, so I'm gonna have to go get my magnet tool to get that. But anyway, that nut is off, so we'll go to the next part here. Okay, so I just kind of turned the generator around so we could have access to this air cleaner. And you can see this is pretty much brand new. I started this way, and then so you just take those clips off, and then you're gonna use an 8mm. So I was 10 on that vibration dampener. This is an 8 here, and you're just gonna remove these bolts. I'm gonna put these nuts right in the cover, and I might need to get an extension on that just because. And there's a total of 6 of these. And that's 3 of them. I might have to put my extension back on, which no biggie, can do that. I should just have it on anyway. Got the deep socket, thought that'd be enough. Oh, there's number 4. Number 5 and number 6. So super easy. Then we're taking this 10mm off here. Should be a couple of them, so I'll look for this other one. Okay, I'm wanting to just lose the screw for some reason, aren't I? Every time I bounce around, I'm putting them around. So that comes off. So that covers off now, and then that second 10mm is just right. That second 10mm is right there in that spot. So we'll get that out of here now. Okay, so now that I have that all the way off, we'll go to the next step. Okay, so All right, you can see I've got that carburetor off. I got the linkage taken off. And you just have to be careful. The gaskets are both the front and the back of that carburetor. And ultimately what we're trying to do is we're trying to pull these posts out. They're buried in their flush, and we have to make room for the the natural gas spacer that's going to allow us to put natural gas right into that carburetor. So we need to extend these out. I'll show you how you do that here. Okay, so we need to extend these out about 3/8 of an inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a Sharpie mark right where they're flush, here and here, so you can see that movement that we need to make there. And the whole point is that we've got to get these spacers. So as I mark those Sharpies right there, we got to get the spacers in there. And thankfully this screw, the bolt that they use to mount this, has that kind of play in it. And we're literally just going to take a pair of vice grips to put on there and then just turn that and get that out. So I'll come back to you as soon as I got it done. Okay, so as you can see, I got those carburetor mounting bolts out. You can see there's my original line there. So I measured 3/8. I got both of those done. So anyway, getting ready to put this carburetor back on. Okay, we'll go ahead and put that carburetor back on, and making sure, so this gasket stayed on there, no problem. And we will go ahead and put this back on, ensuring that those gaskets stay where they need to be, and then we'll get this linkage on here too. So it's a little bit, and that's basically why you're taking the linkage off, is to make that turn with those extra inches on there. You definitely needed to go that far. So you can see now we have all this extra bolt sticking out, which it's all still threaded left there, so that's going to give us the ability to mount that natural gas one on there. So I'm going to go ahead and get this, let's see, get this spring and linkage, the carburetor linkage back on. Get down in here. Where's my light at? Okay. All right. Okay, so that's in easy enough, and then the spring is right here. I don't want to bend that. You might need a little more light. And then I got to get that back on this end over here. Probably be easier to get here. And, okay. All right, so that end right in there, and then this end way back up in here. No, not over that though. And this is a super fine line here. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So back to the next step here. Okay. So this is the adapter. This goes to this carburetor, and as you can see, this says the gas linkage, and so gas will come in here and it'll come through there, and we're going to put that on the front of the carburetor. We've got this gasket for this side, and that's going to go up against the air cleaner. And then this is the gasket that is going to go back on the original carburetor. That's the one that was on there. So we'll go ahead and put those on right now. I'll back up here so you have a little more room to see what I'm doing. Okay. Yeah, I think that you can see that there maybe. Okay, let me check that out. Yep, okay, all right. So this is just gonna go right in that spot, and we're gonna point this edge out, and that way we'll be able to put that tail where we can hook up natural gas, our supply line to that. And so that gasket's going back on just like that. this, now that we have our bolts, you can see that didn't even bringing it out 3/8 like that does not give us a ton of room, but we'll have enough room to get some purchase on those. So our gasket will go on like that. So we'll go ahead and grab that air cleaner, get that thing mounted back on. Hang on a second. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this on. I will say getting these two nuts on took a little bit more. I'd recommend probably taking that out, those carburetor nuts, probably an extra 1/8. So you're pushing almost like 1/2 inch, just because it was hard to get them to bite, and I kind of thought, well, you know, why are we fighting that when we don't need to? So anyway, that was kind of the epiphany that I had as I was doing it. So we're gonna go ahead and put these guys back on, 8mm. And probably need that extension and maybe even the deep socket on here. All right, so now that I got the air filter and carburetor all done, we got to get this regulator mounted. So we're gonna go ahead and mount this right here to the frame. So you kind of want to come out here about 4 inches and drill yourself a hole. So I figured a 5/16 for that 1/4 inch bolt, about 4 inches over, and that puts us right about here. Now the main thing is just don't go through the frame into the gas tank. So that's the first one. Take it slow on this last bolt. And that way you definitely don't go through into your tank. So I'm gonna just put this up here like this, just to get this last hole spaced right, and similar deals. So as soon as I get that, okay, so now that I know that's where it needs to be, okay. All right, so I'll get these mounted, and I'm gonna put the nuts and washers on the back side, just so you don't, you know, and have something that you can scrape yourself on. So I'm gonna get the an open inch or box wrench on that, and then I'll get the socket up here on this here. So be right back to you. Okay, so I've got that 7/16 inch, and I went ahead and I'm putting a lock washer and just a flat cut washer on that, and then just the nut on the back side. And again, this probably wouldn't hurt to do a nylon threaded one or that, but at minimum put some Loctite, something on that. And then here on the front, this is a now you'll see that I'm squishing that tube there. See, you don't need to go too far. Just once you start to put a little pressure on that tube, you can knock that off. So, all right, I'll do the cut washer, the lock washer, and then the nut on the back side here. Yeah, I do think a nylon one there would make sense. Obviously, just to have the less vibration. So, and if I haven't said it enough, you guys need one of these. If you haven't been using a battery-powered ratchet, I've got this AC Delco and a 1/4 inch drive, also a 3/8 inch drive. Got plenty of power. Works great. So anyway, this is on there super solid. So we'll go on to our next step here. Okay, so now we've got to get this hose onto our slim adapter. This is for the carburetor. And the wheel kit's right kind of in the way. We'll get that slid up there, get our collar, our little hose clamp on here. And let's see about getting that up a little tighter. I want to get this fuel line thing out of the way. Just anything that can cause abrasion. You just want to make sure you get stuff tucked out of the way if all possible. And so I'm actually going to pull this out so I have a little more room to do it, and then I'll tuck everything away once I got this snugged on. And let's see, I might need to put this on here. Okay, that's on there good. You don't get a lot of pressure on natural gas, as you may or may not know. So having that on there is just really precautionary. I just don't see, it's really so it doesn't get pulled off. The hose is definitely not going to blow off because, again, the pressure from natural gas is much, much lower than propane. So having that there, and get that fuel line tucked back in there again. And I'll probably, in fact, I'm going to put a little electrical tape right here just so that there's no wearing on that. In fact, I could probably pull this down for that piece. Yeah, I'm gonna get some electrical tape on that. So I'm gonna get this tucked away right here. I believe that is, what is that? A number 10. Let's get that number 10 on here. And we're gonna put this hose clamp right on there. Let's see. Yeah, that's definitely a number 10. Looking for the stubby 10. There we go. So this will allow me to take this off. Maybe that isn't a 10. What is this? Oh, that's not a 10. That's a 7/16. So I can put this in its place. This will give me a hose clamp. Go around this hose. Put that in its place. Well, give me just a second. I'll be right back to you. Okay, so now that I've got the hose hooked on here to the slim adapter, I'm going to bring it up to the regulator here now. You could just bring it like this and bring it over here to this side. The problem is this is the vent, and although this is a heat sensitive hose, or not a heat sensitive, this is a hose that can stand heat, you just as soon not have that there. So I'm gonna go ahead and put like an S turn in this and make sure as I pull it up, I kind of turn it so that it wants to then lay into itself. So as I twist that, you can see how that pulls itself up. Then I just put that on the nipple there. And while I've got a little tension on it, I'll go ahead and draw that hose clamp in tight. And that'll keep that with that turn in it like that. So anyway, so now you're clear of everything, you know, all of the heat that could happen over here to this side. You've got that hose bent out of the way. So on to the last step here, and then we're ready to test it. Okay, so the last step that we need to do is just put a shutoff valve on this fuel line going into the carburetor, just because we don't want there to be two going there, because when you actually run this on the natural gas setting, you're going to turn this dial up here to the front to gas, and that will then trigger gas release from here. So we actually want to be able to stop that to do it. Now, it's best if you haven't put any gas in your tank at this point, because you're cutting the gas line, so there'd be gas leaking everywhere. I have not put gas in this unit yet. I've only run it on propane. And to be honest, I just really intend to run it off of natural gas and propane, but gas is an option. So I'm going to install this little shutoff valve, use some spring clamps here to go on that, and I'm just going to bisect this line really just right where it's not curved, and we'll go right about there. Cut it like that. Work these spring clamps over those lines first. So I'll put that over there, slide that down, and the same thing on this side. Uh-oh. And they do get legs when they got springs. Sometimes best to use like a pair of locking pliers, vice grips or something, so you don't have that happen. I have some here too, that's the dumb thing, just not using them. So anyway, but once you get that in, you can just slip that on. It's a barb type connection. Slip that over both sides. And again, the pressure on this line, I don't think you'd actually need these spring clamps, but why not put them? They're cheap and you can get them on there pretty easy. And I've already got this shut to off. Perpendicular is off, inline is on. So I'm just gonna go ahead and shut it off since I don't have any gas in there anyway. So now we're pretty much ready to test it. I've got right here, I've got this length of hose made up with some quick connects, and we'll show you how that's all gonna work on the preparation that we've already done, which is teed into my natural gas line coming into the house. So I'm gonna show you how that's done, and we'll give this thing a test run. All right, guys, so here we are, final stages of our 3-part series. We converted, as you can see over here, we added all of our low pressure natural gas regulator. This is your fine tuning screw here. This takes a little bit just to get dialed in, but I've got my quick connects. I've got my quick connects for the propane, which makes it super nice. I'm sorry, not propane, natural gas. Sorry about that. And if you saw part 1, you saw how I installed this T with this shutoff valve and this quick connect. So I've got this length of hose. It's gonna be long enough for me to pull this away from the house a little bit. But this natural gas setup, super, super nice. You know, one would ask, okay, well, why would you want to run your generator off of natural gas? Well, a couple of reasons. One, even when power goes out, typically natural gas, unless it's different kinds of disasters, but even when power's out due to storms and stuff, natural gas is still running. It burns cleaner, it's more readily available, and everybody else will be filling up tanks and stuff like that for a generator. Now, you can put 8 gallons of fuel in here. I always recommend that you do something with no ethanol if possible. But at any rate, so I've got this set up to go like that. To run this on the natural gas based on the conversion, you simply come over here, and you're still going to use, so I still have it hooked up to where I can run it off of a propane tank if I need to, and that setting's here. It's a different setting because it actually shuts the vacuum off, so you can do it. And we've got our black lab here wanting to play fetch no matter what I'm doing. So anyway, but you do turn it to gas, and you do, since I know there's no gas in here, I don't have to worry about it. But you can also, I installed this shutoff valve right here. Just make sure your gas line's shut off. To start it, you simply turn it to the choke setting, and then you hold the start button here for 3 seconds. Like that. Turn it to the choke setting, and then you should be able to fire it up. But it does help to have the gas on. So if you remember in the early part of this video, I turned the gas off. I'm gonna purge the gas just because it was off, just so you can see there's actually a button back here, and when you press it, you can hear and smell the gas flowing. So that's gonna make sure that you have it. I'm gonna turn it back to that choke setting. Because this is a 439cc engine, you're going to get that kind of loud noise when it goes. But that gives you the idea. So now I've got natural gas powering the generator. I've got this ready. We're going to do a test on this later tonight, but I've got this ready, kind of ready, to be our whole home replacement. So this will actually power up the house, just the essential things, and I've got that wired right here for that. So we're just about ready for a working test. And I figure out where that groove is. There we go. Yeah, for a working test. So with that in place, the generator running, and the settings on our power box, we'll have to go adjust some breakers. We're ready to basically back up the house. So three-step process that we did. We added a T to the natural gas line. We added a breaker, 50 amp breaker, to the panel, and now we've converted this to natural gas. So we're ready for the emergencies that come. So anyway, check it out, guys. If you like this video, I got more of them. Please like and subscribe, and I'll keep you loaded with all